I got emails from Schwab about the managed portfolio. It's a quarterly update if you want to.
Shabbat Shalom. Shalom. Welcome to Congregation Dor Tamid, whether you're here in person or you're joining us via Zoom or Facebook or our website. We are so glad you are here with us for this Kabbalat Shabbat, this service of welcoming Shabbat. And as we begin this service, we join together in song.
Shabbat Shalom, Ma Yafe Hayom. Shabbat Shalom, Ma Yafe Hayom. Shabbat Shalom, Ma Yafe Hayom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat, Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat, Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat, Shalom. Shabbat, Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat, Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat, Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat, Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, Ma Yafe Hayom. Shabbat Shalom, Ma Yafe Hayom. Shabbat Shalom. Yedid nefesh avarachamam, avarachamam. Meshochadecha el ritzonecha, yarutz abdecha, kemo aya yishtachah.
It's a wrong book.
Welcome the Sabbath bride. We sing these words, Boi Kala, Boi Kala. Boi Kala, Boi Kala, Boi Kala, Boi Kala. Achamame Roshaila not nistalka, Ovenate Seli Kraksha Bat Hamalka. Achamame Roshaila not nistalka, Ovenate Seli Kraksha Bat Hamalka. Boi Kala, Boi Kala. Boi Kala, Boi Kala. Achamame Roshaila not nistalka, Ovenate Seli Kraksha Bat Hamalka. Achamame Roshaila not nistalka, Ovenate Seli Kraksha Bat Hamalka. Boi Kala.
No, he's not.
Boi Kala.
No.
Look at the light.
Yeah.
So your windows.
Yeah, I see.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Good Shabbos.
Could be.
Come together on this Shabbat of Parshat Noach, of the Torah portion where we read of Noah and his ark. We come together with the idea of that rainbow, the idea of that keshet, that bow in the sky. And this Shabbat reminds us with the imagery of that rainbow, that even in times where the floods are coming in, even in times where the water is all around us, rising and rising, that rainbow is that image that we have of hope, of renewal, and it's a sign that God has given us, our tradition says, that whenever those plagues come, whenever things get rough, whenever things are difficult, it will be all right in the end if only we come together in righteousness and holiness. As we gather together on this Shabbat, we truly are here together in community, whether in person or virtually. And so we begin by singing those words that remind us just that point, how beautiful it is when all of us can be together and pray together and can rejoice in this Shabbat together. Please join us in singing Hine Ma Tov.
Hine Ma Tov Umanayim Shevet Achi Gam Yachad Hine Ma Tov Umanayim Shevet Achi Gam Yachad. How good it is to be together, together as one in love, joy, and laughter. How good it is to be in this moment together. Kולנו ביחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחי גם יחד. How good it is to be together, together as one in love, joy, and laughter. How good it is to be in this moment together. כולנו ביחד, כולנו ביחד.
As we do each Shabbat, we welcome in this day of rest by bringing more light into creation as we kindle our Sabbath lights.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
With wine, with grape juice, the fruit of the vine, our symbol of joy, we sanctify this moment.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu Vishapat kodsho b'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lemase v'reishit ki hu yom techila lemikrae kodesh zecher l'tziat mitzrayim Kivanu v'acharta v'yotanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha b'yava uvratzon hinchalatanu Baruch atah Adonai mikadesh hashabbat.
Chaim.
L'chaim.
We turn now to our Seder Kabbalat Shabbat, our service for welcoming in Shabbat. Lechu neranena ladonai, naria litzur yishenu, nikadma fanav b'toda, bizmirot naria lo. Together, come, let us sing joyously to Adonai. Raise a shout for our rock and deliverer. Let us come into God's presence with praise. Let us raise a shout for God in song. For Adonai is a great God, the great ruler of all divine beings. We sing now this song to God.
Shiru Adonai Kol Haaretz Shiru Adonai Shir Chadash Shiru Adonai Kol Haaretz Shiru Adonai Shir Chadash Sing unto God all the earth a new song. I will sing unto God a new song. Sing unto God and the Lord will sing along. On the earth a new song unto God. Shiru Adonai Kol Haaretz Shiru Adonai Shir Chadash Shiru Adonai Kol Haaretz Shiru Adonai Shir Chadash.
Mizmor LeDavid, a psalm of David. Ascribe to Adonai, O divine beings. Ascribe to Adonai glory and strength. Ascribe to Adonai the glory of God's name. Bow down to Adonai, majestic in holiness. The voice of Adonai is over the waters. The God of glory thunders. Adonai over the mighty waters. The voice of Adonai is power, and the voice of Adonai is majesty. The voice of Adonai breaks cedars. Adonai shatters the cedars of Lebanon. God makes Lebanon skip like a calf, Syrian like a young wild ox. Adonai oz le'amo yitain, Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. May Adonai grant strength to God's people, and may Adonai bestow on God's people well-being. We welcome in the Sabbath angels by singing together Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharei, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu Ni L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlakim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Tzidchem L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Melech Malachei Hamlakim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Melech Malachei Hamlakim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Melech Malachei Hamlakim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
We prepare to transition now into the main section of our service with the Shema and its blessings with the words of the Chatzi Kaddish.
Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
Yelmad yivrach yirateh v'yamlich malchuteh b'chayechon u'vyomechon u'chayideh kol bet Yisrael bagala bagala u'bizman kariv v'yimeru amen Yehei shemei Rabbah mevorach Le'alam u'lam me'al maya yitbarach Yitvarach v'yishtabach Yitvar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal Shemei dekudisha berichu Le'ila min kol berchata v'shirata Tushbechata v'nechemata Damiran be'alma Yimeru Amen. Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Barechu et Adonai Amevorach Baruch Adonai Amevorach Le'olam va'ed Le'olam va'ed Yalai, lai, lai, 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 yalai, lai, lai. Am I awake? Am I prepared?
Please be seated. This is an hour of change. Within it, we stand uncertain on the border of light. Shall we draw back or cross over? Where shall our hearts turn? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? This is the hour of change, and within it, we stand quietly on the border of light. What lies before us? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? Baruch atah Adonai, ha'ma'ariv aravim. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on the evening.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Ve'ata et Adonai Elohecha B'chol levavcha v'chol nafshecha U'b'chol me'odecha Ve'hayu advarim ha'ele Asher anochi metzavecha Hayom alevavecha V'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam B'shivtecha b'veitecha u'v'lechtecha v'aderech U'v'shokbecha u'v'kumecha U'kshartam leot al yadecha והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם אלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. Adonai Elohim Emet.
We read together. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together.
Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Mi kamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha negar b'kodesh, mi kamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha negar b'kodesh. Nora Tehilo, Osei Pele, Nora Tehilo, Osei Pele, Adonai Nochelam Ba'em. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Baruch atah Adonai Ga'al Yisrael.
We turn now to the Hashkivenu, words that ask God to watch over us as we lie down to sleep tonight. In the ancient mind, as the sun went down, the world was a scary place. They didn't have the luxuries of electric lights and Zoom and Facebook to keep them up at night, to keep them aware of what was going on around them. And so this prayer was written to ask God in this scary time of the night to watch over us and grant over all we love a shelter of peace, a peace of wholeness, of goodness, and of health and safety as we enter into this evening. Please join us.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu v'shalom Ve'amidenu shomreinu Echayim Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu v'shalom Ve'hamidenu shomreinu Echayim. Spread the shelter of your peace over us. Guide us in wisdom, passion and trust. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu v'shalom Ve'amidenu shomreinu Echayim. Save us for the sake of your name. Shield us from hatred, sorrow and pain. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu v'shalom Ve'amidenu shomreinu Echayim.
We are a people in whom the past endures, in whom the present is inconceivable without moments gone by. The Exodus lasted a moment enduring forever. What happened once upon a time happens all the time. We've come now to the Tefillah, our central prayer section of the service. And we open with these words from the Psalms that ask God to open our mouths, to open our lips so that we can declare God's praise. And then we dive deep within ourselves, looking for that still small voice within, that voice that calls out with God's oneness, that connects us to the divine. We rise for the Tefillah.
Ya la 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 la, 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 ya la 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 la. Adonai sefatai kita ufi agiti latecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Yalla lai lai lai, yalla lai lai lai. Yalla lai lai lai, 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 yalla lai lai lai. Say shalom, Roma. Oh, say shalom, Roma. Ooh, yaseh, shalom. Ooh, yaseh, shalom. Ooh, yaseh, shalom. Alleluia. Y'all can be seated so long as you promise to count to 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and may the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. Oh, say shalom, Roma. Oh, say shalom, Roma. Ooh, yaseh, shalom. Ooh, yaseh, shalom. Ooh, yaseh, shalom. Alleluia. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down.
So for those of you who are joining us virtually, joining us on Zoom, on Facebook, or on our website, and this is really for those of you on Zoom, we have a very large screen right here that everybody can see you right now. So we all saw you dancing. We enjoyed it, and thank you for joining with us as we brought peace down together. Um, you can't see them, but we could see you, so it was very lovely.
I feel like you should have told them that beforehand, though.
Yeah, but this was more fun. So this week's Torah portion, as I mentioned earlier, is Parshat Noach, the second parsha in the Torah, and it's a story that many of us are very familiar with. That God said to Noah, there's going to be a flood. We're going to sing the song at the end of the service so you can get excited. And that the world was going to be destroyed because everyone else in humanity was sinning, was corrupt. The Torah says the earth itself, the land itself, had been corrupted by the actions of the individuals who lived on it. And the world needed to be cleansed by the flood. In a way, the earth, as one of our students said last year during Bar Mitzvah service, the earth needed a bath. But I was thinking about sort of this progression that we have of the main characters in our Torah. That last week we read of Cain and Abel, and when Cain slew Abel, God said, what happened? Where is your brother? And Abel, or Cain's response was, am I my brother's keeper? This week, we have Noach. Noach, that the Torah says, is an ish tzaddik b'dorotav. Tamim haya b'dorotav, it says he was blameless among his generation. He was a righteous person in his age. But the Torah gives that qualifier b'dorotav, in his generation, to show that he wasn't necessarily a great person. He wasn't a tzaddik. He wasn't that righteous person. He was just righteous compared to how bad everybody else was around him.
Mm-hmm.
The bar, as it were, was set very low for Noah. And he cleared it and was chosen by God to build the ark, to gather the animals 2 by 2, to bring them on with his wife and his children, and to be the ones to start over again after the flood. But then we're going to get to next week's Parsha with Avram, who will become Avraham Avinu, Abraham, our patriarch, our forefather. And Abraham, unlike Noah, we're told is that ish tzaddik, period, full stop. He is that righteous person. And the rabbis ask, why is it that Noah gets the qualifier and Abraham doesn't? And the reason is because of how he reacts to those around him. And in this, I see a progression through the generations. When God told Noah that the world was going to be flooded and that he was the only one, him and his family were the only ones to survive, what did Noah do? He built the ark and he gathered the animals. But he never once said to God, this isn't right. Conversely, when God went to Abraham and said, Sodom and Gomorrah, these 2 evil cities, are going to be destroyed with fire and brimstone, Abraham spoke up and said to God, shouldn't the judge of the whole world do justly? Abraham had the holy chutzpah to challenge his creator. And so we see this progression from Cain, who doesn't take any responsibility, to Noah, who is righteous compared to everybody else, and then finally to Abraham, who merits due to his righteousness. God saying to him, as we will read in next week's Torah portion, Lech lecha, go forth, go to that place, be a leader of people, and be a blessing. And so Noah, this placeholder in between the generation of Adam and the generation of Abraham and Sarah, of Abraham and Sarah, serves to show us that it's not just good enough to be righteous compared to everybody else around you, but we should strive to be like Abraham, our patriarch, and Sarah, our matriarch, righteous for all the generations, a good person, doing the mitzvot, doing the work of tikkun olam, working with one another to make this world a better place, to make this world a world of shlemut, of wholeness, and a world of shalom. Amen.
Amen.
We take a moment now with our hearts opened by these words of Torah to think of those members of our community, our friends, our family, our loved ones, those in our wider circles, as well as those throughout this country and this world who are in need of prayers of healing. We think of all of those who are close to us, as well as the thousands and thousands who are currently struggling and battling because of the pandemic, as well as all other illnesses. And we ask for God's healing presence to be with them as we sing this prayer.
May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Vishebeach imotenu mekor habracha leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
We rise now for Aleinu.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hako, l'teinu ha'yotzeu b'reshit, shehu noteh shamayim v'yosed haaretz, u'moshav yikaro b'shamayim ima'al, u'shpinat uzo b'govei meromim, u'Eloheinu ein od. V'anachnu korim u'mishtachavim u'modim, lifnei melech malchei hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, V'nemar V'yadonai, L'melech al kol haaretz, Bayom hahu, Yeh Adonai echad, U'shamo echad.
Please be seated. Our thoughts now turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. In the sacred moment of our Shabbat evening worship, we think longingly and lovingly of those taken from us both recently and at this season in years past. We mark the yahrzeit on this Shabbat, the anniversary of their passing, of Jack Salowitz, Myrtle Wish, David Steinberg, Louis Pasillo, Ann Adler, Michael Talent, Richard Rocco, Conrad Alfred Strauss, Leslie Grunwald, Donald Schack, and Carrie Schindler. If you are remembering someone on this Shabbat, I invite you to say their name as my eyes meet yours. We take all of those who we have listed, all of those who we are remembering, and we link them as well to the memory of the millions of our people who have no one to say Kaddish for them, and the thousands who have perished as a result of the pandemic, as we link all of their memories to the Shemei Rabbah, the great, holy, and awesome name of God that we praise with the words of the Mourner's Kaddish. Please rise. Yitgadal v'yitgadash Shemei Rabbah, v'alma divrach terutei v'amlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, v'agala v'zman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah mevorach leolam l'almei maya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal Shmei d'kudsha b'richu. Le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbachata v'nechemata. Da'amiran v'alma v'imru Amen. Yehei Shalama Rabbah min Shemaya. V'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. V'imru Amen. Oseh Shalom bimromav. Huya Aseh Shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn, and comfort to all the bereaved here and everywhere with the blessing of peace. As together we all say, Amen.
Oseh Shalom bimromav. Uyaseh Shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'yimeru. Amen.
For our closing song tonight, a song we get to sing once a year. So I expect and ask for lots of ruach, lots of energy as we sing this song about Noah and his ark. Please join us.
So rise and shine and give God your glory, glory, rise and shine. Give God your glory, glory, rise and shine and give God your glory, glory, children of the Lord. The Lord said to Noah, there's gonna be a floody, floody. Lord said to Noah, there's gonna be a floody, floody. Get your children out of the muddy, muddy, children of the Lord. So rise and shine and give God your glory, glory, rise and shine. Give God your glory, glory, rise and shine and give God your glory, glory, children of the Lord. So Noah, he built him an ark, Noah, he built him an ark, he made it out of hickory, barky, children of the Lord. So rise and shine, give God your glory, glory, rise and shine. Give God your glory, glory, rise and shine, and give God your glory, glory, children of the Lord. The animals, they came on by twosies, camels, they came on by twosies, elephants and kangaroos, children of the Lord. So rise and shine, give God your glory, glory, rise and shine. Give God your glory, glory, rise and shine, and give God your glory, glory, children of the Lord. It rained and poured for 40 nights and days, rain and poured for 40 nights and days, drove the animals in the crazy, crazy children of the Lord. So rise and shine, give God your glory, glory, rise and shine. Give God your glory, glory, rise and shine, and give God your glory, glory, children of the Lord. The sun came out and dried up the landy, landy. Sun came out and dried up the landy, landy. Everything was fine and dandy, dandy, children of the Lord. So rise and shine and give God your glory, glory, rise and shine. Give God your glory, glory, rise and shine, and give God your glory, glory, children of the Lord. Another secret verse. You put it in there. Yay! So this is the end of the story. This is the end of the story. Everything was hunky-dory, children of the Lord. So rise and shine and give God your glory, glory, rise and shine and give God your glory, glory, rise and shine and give God your glory, glory, children of the Lord.
Please be seated.
I like the hooting and the hollering afterwards. That's good.
Good Shabbos, everyone. It is great to see you all tonight here at CDT in person, online, on Zoom, on Facebook, on our website. Just a few brief announcements before our closing benediction. Tomorrow morning, we will continue celebrating Shabbat at 9:15 with Shabbat morning story time on Facebook. And then we will join together on Zoom as well as on Facebook to celebrate Shabbat morning services, as well as the B'nai Mitzvah of David and Eva Sadow. So please join us tomorrow morning at 10:30 as we welcome them as the two newest adult members of the Jewish people.
Mhm.
Tomorrow night on Facebook, Mike will lead us in Seder Havdalah in our service of separation, saying farewell to Shabbat. Then on Tuesday, Mike will be back for another night of Mike music. On Wednesday morning, oh, I skipped Sunday. Sunday morning at 11:30. I'm sorry. Sunday morning at 11:30. Join us for what is going to be a fabulous discussion for the second session in our series with Rabbi Dr. Edwin Harris, who is teaching a three-part series on when the world is upside down, how do we get right side up again, creating spiritual practices for a world of COVID-19. Even if you didn't make it last week, join us this week. It was a fantastic hour discussion, and this week should be no different. And then in the afternoon, Herschel tells me he is speaking at the Bremen. And so you can hear his story at 2 o'clock, 2 o'clock on their website on Zoom. So if you haven't heard Herschel's story, it's fantastic. It's just mind blowing. So if you are around on Sunday, please make the time to join Herschel to hear his story and his words. Then on Tuesday night, as I said, Mike will be back for another night of Mike music. On Wednesday morning at 11 o'clock on Zoom, we will continue studying the book of Numbers. Please join us as we continue studying Torah together. And then, this week we're not meeting. Next week we'll be back. It's a lot going on. It's been a crazy month and a half with concerts and holidays, but we're not on this week. Next week we'll be back, but next Friday online, 7:30 for Shabbos. And then on November 6th, please join us here on the patio on Zoom or on Facebook as we will celebrate Shabbat and the confirmation of the class of 57 and 80. They didn't get to have their confirmation last May, so they are going to be celebrating, and we are going to be honoring them on the 6th out here on the patio as the class from last spring takes this next step in confirming their Jewish identities as they officially finish their childhood Jewish education. And then on November 13th, once again, please join us for what is to be an amazing and really important service in the history of our community as we will dedicate and honor our Czech Memorial Torah scroll, which will be read by members of our community who are survivors, children of survivors, or grandchildren of survivors. And we will be joined by my friend and teacher, Dr. Michael Meyer, the Adolph S. Oaks Professor Emeritus of Jewish History at the Hebrew Union College, who is a fantastic teacher and scholar of Jewish history, and he will be our guest speaker that night. He basically wrote the book. He absolutely, if you want to study with the guy who wrote the book on the subject, he's the guy who wrote the book on the subject. So please join us for that service as well. And we also have on the 19th of November a panel discussion with my friend, Reverend Brian Doust, and my other friend, Mr. Tarif Saib from Johns Creek Presbyterian Church, and also Masjid Hamza, to discuss how the three Abrahamic faiths view the idea of Thanksgiving as a lead-in to our American holiday of Thanksgiving at the end of November. So we have a lot coming up in November through the end of this month, and so I hope to see you all in person or on Facebook. And don't forget, November 15th is our next fall concert. We had a great one this past weekend with a lot of people out here, some fantastic music. And it was a lot of fun. So make sure to come out next month for that. That's all that's coming up in the next few weeks. So let's conclude with a blessing. Please rise. Adonai oz le'amo yitain, Adonai yivarech et amo v'kol v'nei adam b'shalom. May God give strength to our people, and may God bless each of us, all of Israel, and all of creation with the blessings of peace. And as we go forth from this service, whether virtually or physically, may we be called to Lech Lecha as we enter into next week's Parsha, to go forth, to be a blessing, and to make sure to not have that qualifier of just in our generation, but to be righteous for all generations. Amen. Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom.